Today's video, Kinked Demand Curve. I've seen students often struggling while drawing this diagram. So let me give you some tips. Now, what is the Kinked Demand Curve and where do we use it? This is part of the market structure concept of A-level economics. That is where we talk about oligopoly and why would firms in an oligopoly avoid competing on price? Why would price remain rigid? So to give argument in the favor of price rigidness and the inflexibility of prices in oligopoly, we use this concept that is Kinked Demand Curve. Kinked Demand Curve is a hypothetical curve. It assumes the reactions of competitors. Since in oligopoly, the actions are the outcome of a strategic decision taken by a firm depends on the reactions of firms, this theory assumes the reactions of the competitors. So what if a firm raises the price? This theory assumes that when a firm raises the price, other firms witness an automatic increase in their sales and they do not raise prices. So a decision to raise price by a firm is not followed by its competitors. It means that the firm raising the price facing a flat or a price elastic demand curve. On the other hand, if a firm lowers the price, this theory says that competitors will follow. A decision to cut the price will be followed, and that would mean the firm lowering price will witness a very small increase in the quantity demanded, as other firms have also decreased the price. Such a firm which has decided to lower the price will face a steeper or a price inelastic demand curve. So that is how this demand curve and shown. When the price is raised, this is assuming that we are assuming initial price. If price is raised, the demand curve is flat. And if the price decrease, the demand curve is steep. So this is the demand curve. It's a kinked demand curve. It's not a straight line. It's a kinked demand curve. And the initial price was P1 and initial price was Q1. Now, this is easier to draw. This part of the diagram is easier to draw. But when we have to draw the MR curve as well, then some difficulties may be faced. So MR must touch x-axis, must touch the point which is exactly in the middle of the x-intercept of demand curve and the origin. So if we draw the MR curve for this particular demand curve, which is flat one, so I am using this black line and I am showing an MR curve which corresponds to the flatter part of the demand curve. On the other hand, the steeper part of the demand curve will be reflected or will be followed by another MR which will be beginning from here, because this point of demand curve is starting from here. So this red line is the MR curve of which corresponds to the steeper portion of the demand curve. Now this is MR. Now, did we make it correctly or not? Let's see if this distance is equal to this one. Now, this distance seems a little smaller than this one. So, in order to make an accurate diagram, this distance must equal the red horizontal line must equal the green horizontal line. These two distances must equal. Now, that is a condition, and that is a mistake which candidates usually make. To ensure that we make an accurate diagram, let me give you my tips. First of all, take a price at a higher level. If you take the price at a lower level, you may struggle. So, initial price at a higher level. And there is the initial quantity, and there is the initial price. Now, make a flatter demand curve here. And instead of going for the demand curve here, first draw the MR curve. This is the MR curve for the steeper portion of the demand curve. Take this length, multiply with 2, and this is the second. This is probably equal to this one. So this is a steeper demand. And now we can make this MR, and that's how we have created. This is demand curve, this is MR curve, this is quantity, this is price. Initial price was P1, initial quantity was Q1, and now this distance equals this one. So this is the Kinked Demand Curve. That is how you may draw it. And then you can show two marginal cost curves, MC1 over here and MC2 over here, and that is a mathematical discontinuity. This blue line between the two MR curves is a mathematical discontinuity because this MR corresponds to the steeper one, this MR corresponds to the flatter one, and this blue line is a mathematical discontinuity. If you draw an MC curve here and MC curve here, you can prove this case that even though MC curve shifts upward or downward, but stays within the range of MC1 and MC2, the price, profit maximizing price and the profit maximizing quantity will remain unchanged at P1 and Q1. And there won't be any change in price. And that is why firms avoid competing on price. I hope you like this video.